Hello, one and all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble leader, Jordan Brown. With me for the very first time is our captivating casting director. Say hi, captivating casting director.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good, Jazzy. Thank you so much for joining me. This is really exciting. And I mentioned right before we started talking, I said I was excited that the Emmy is right behind you, because I very specifically, the first question I wanted to ask you is, do you just walk around the Dropout offices doing like an Elle Woods, like it's hard, and just like carry your Emmy around as they are in desperate need of trying to figure out how to get a breakthrough Emmy win?
Well, believe it or not, this Emmy is incredibly heavy. It can be used as a weapon if you really wanted to. It's sharp and it's also heavy. So no, I do not carry it around. But a fun little story, the night of the Emmys, when I won, they don't have a place for you to put it down during the after party. So you have to hold it the entire night. And the party's like 3 hours long. So I feel like I got like a good arm workout.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, I mean, it is like the comically cliche thing, right? Of like, everyone grabs like, oh, this is heavier than I expected.
Yeah.
And the Emmy has the points, like the Oscar, like you can bludgeon, but like you got piercing weapons as well.
Exactly.
This is so exciting. I have a million questions for you. For folks who maybe don't know you, because you are so very much behind the scenes, you're the casting director for a bunch of Dropout shows, as well as a bunch of other things, which is very cool. Okay, you casted 300 people for this season of Game Changer? What are we in for here?
We're in for a lot. I'm not going to reveal anything because I want it all to be a surprise, but there was a lot of people. The process was very long, and I could not have done it without my assistant at the time, which was Chris Caputo, who is now my casting producer. I bumped her up because she deserves it.
That's amazing. I love that. Oh man, I just got 2 voice notes that are 4 minutes and 2 minutes when I told someone that I was talking to you. So I'll find out what questions they suggested afterwards.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I've done a decent amount of research, I would say, and where I stumbled across that clip and I was like, did she say 300 people? Yeah, it's really exciting. I know, like, Sam has talked publicly about this season specifically of Game Changer is sort of like you have your like comedians, but then another group of people that sort of come in. And obviously we saw that a little bit in the first episode, but we've seen it a lot in the trailer in terms of like there's all this extra set where like there's stand-up comics and there are, performers and all these things. I mean, without obviously giving away what we're going to see, what is it like when someone comes in and is like, hey, we need a breakdancer? Like, can you cast that for us?
Yes, I mean the beauty of my background, I was I wouldn't say professional, but I was a competitive dancer for years. So I have a huge background in just arts, and I worked on America's Got Talent, so I can identify talent outside of like comedy or reality space. So when like Sam would come to me with crazy ideas of like, yeah, I need a break dancer, I was like, got you, don't worry about that, I'll find one for you. And the audition process was pretty simple, obviously posting a breakdown and then kind of going through and seeing who would make sense for this role. And they were in for a treat. It wasn't like just, breakdancing. There's more to it.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's Game Changer. There has to be more to it.
Exactly.
Which I think we'll find out next week. I think that is the next episode. It's the Brennan, Iffy, and Katie episode. Has been announced as next week. That's not insider info. Yeah, I mean, so you casted very important people, at least season 2. I'm not sure if you were involved in season 1 or not.
No, season 2.
Yeah, that seems right, because it felt like they just asked everyone they knew for season 1. Game Changer, Dirty Laundry, Monet's Slumber Party, Dimension 20. Am I missing any Dropout shows that you've cast?
Monet's Slumber, I don't think you are. Oh, well, there's a new show, but it hasn't been announced.
Gotcha, yeah. Of course, there always is. There are so many. Look, we had 5 days of new shows last week. Like every night on Dropout last week was a new show. It's incredible.
It's incredible. Honestly, The development team there, I don't know how they're just busting out content like this, because you have to like sit in a room and just really figure out what do you think is going to appeal to our audience, but also appeal outside of the Dropout universe. And they're consistently bringing and trying new things, which I think is just so admirable to watch. And then they just bring me stuff. Because obviously, when I'm in the pre-production phase, they're just like, "Hey, is this something that we can do? Do you think we can get someone to work for this?" And we kind of work together, and from there, create something beautiful, which is what you guys get to watch.
Yeah, that's I love it. Yeah, obviously, like I'm assuming you have I mean, I don't maybe a no hand at all in terms of like it's going to be Vic, Jacob, and Lou at the podiums. Your job is to find the people like we need a magician's assistant. We need like those folks, the other side in terms of casting. Although there does appear to be maybe a full stand-up episode, and maybe you had a hand in. Who's to say? Not us. We can't because it's not out yet. Although we obviously know like Josh Johnson and other people who here's the thing. I'm so old and I don't know who anyone is.
You don't look old.
I'll be 42 years old in less than a month.
What? You're giving 20s. I love this for you.
Thank you so much.
Whatever you're doing
That's
with
so
your skincare, continue to do
it. But it means like that when a trailer drops for Game Changer or whatever, like there are 1,000 people like, I just saw Ranboo, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying to me, and I don't know where to even like start. Like in terms of like finding people like that, like finding people that are either off the beaten path or like folks like that small, like very niche groups of people are going to be excited about. Like, how do you go about like that in terms of casting?
Yeah. I mean, luckily I come with a reality, casting background. And that means I can literally find anyone on social media, or even if you don't have a social media presence, I will find a way to get to you. So if you're not familiar with like reality casting, we're only casting real people. We're not casting actors or models unless it calls for it for that show. So we will go out and they go, hey, we really want a firefighter for this season. Ideally, it would be someone maybe from Detroit. And I will go out and go find those people and audition those people and see if they would be good fit for the show. So when I get asked to do anything like that, where it's like, hey, we need to find this very niche type of person, I literally call back to that and I go, okay, let me see if I can find any sort of information of them out there on the internet. Do they have a website? Do they have an Instagram? Do they have a TikTok? And I'm kind of going through and just literally seeing what I can find. And I will always find a way to get a connection to this person. Yeah, even Meryl Streep. I'll email Meryl Streep's people. Yeah. They will respond.
Hey, there you go. That's exciting. God, yeah. I need to figure out how to get people to respond to my emails. I'm really curious about like in that casting in a reality show role, how you balance out like, I want someone with a strong personality who's going to be good on the show versus I don't want a toxic asshole who's going to be a nightmare to work with. Because I feel like that's a thin line for reality shows.
Yes, definitely a thin line. We have a huge casting process when it comes to reality, to the point where they go through several interviews before they're even seen by the network. So they'll have a phone interview, they'll have a Zoom interview, they'll then have a finals interview, then they'll go through background checks, then they'll go through psych exams. They go through so much before they even get seen on camera, but still sometimes because these people are real, you don't know what's actually going to come out when you put a camera in front of them. Especially now that we've moved into doing everything virtual. So even our finals used to be in person. Now they're no longer in person. They're all on Zoom. And then the first time you're seeing these people with legs, it's when you're actually seeing them on set. So because of that, we're seeing and probably a lot more wild cards on TV shows because we don't have that in-person contact like we used to. But we do our best as a team. We do as many phone calls. I become best friends with these people throughout the casting process because they're more likely to trust you and understand how the whole process works. And I'm always there to be as transparent as possible because all these people, it's the first time they've ever been on television before. And I'm happy to handhold and get them through the process for sure.
Yeah. Would you say it's a matter of trusting your gut?
Yes.
Is that an important lesson that you would maybe pass on to like a couple thousand students
Oh,
at like
absolutely.
a university, something like
Yes.
that?
Trust your gut. Oh, did you watch my
I
commencement
watched your
speech?
commencement speech. Of course I did. You got to trust your gut. Your direction is more important than your speed. I'm right there with you.
I love this. Oh my gosh, you did so much Googling on me.
I was so excited when I saw, I think it's on your Wikipedia, that's like, Jazzy was the commencement address. And I was like, God, that's got to be online somewhere. I was like, they record every commencement address. I will say, as someone who sat through a bunch of commencement addresses, oh, what a joy yours was to watch. For one, that I wasn't in person, like, you know, just being like, can this please be over? But also, like, it was valuable information. I remember my undergrad commencement address, the 1,000-year-old man who was complaining about the price of hamburger, and I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they always usually get someone that's like graduated college 40 to 50 years ago, and they have just no concept of like being in that world anymore.
Yeah.
And they're so uber successful. So it was like really nice that it was like perfectly 10 years after I graduated to like talk to people and be like, yeah, I literally sat where you were like a decade ago. So you
10
never
years to
know
the
what's gonna
day.
happen.
10 years to the day, no less.
Yeah.
How did, I mean, obviously, probably the fastest yes you've ever given, but like, what is that call like? Of like, hey, you want to come be a commencement address?
Yeah, they zoomed me. They first sent me an email and it was very like kind of cryptic. They're like, "Hey Jazz, are you available to hop on Zoom next week?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm happy to do that." And then I hopped on Zoom, and then the dean at the time, she was the interim dean, asked me if I would be willing to give the commencement speech, and I 100% yes so fast. And then I immediately called my mom and my sister, and I was like crying, like trying, like, "Oh my god, does this mean I made it?" And like, it was great. It was the coolest thing ever.
I think it definitively means you made it. Yeah, it's very cool. It's for folks who it's on. God, is it Quinnipiac? Is that how you pronounce it?
Quinnipiac. Yes. University.
Look,
it's a.
I watched the commencement, but not the beginning where anyone said the name of the university. I skipped right to your part.
It's okay. Yeah, Quinnipiac. It's in Hamden, Connecticut. So if you're familiar with the Yale area, that's where we were. That was our biggest rivals, but I don't think they ever saw us as a rival.
Yeah.
But
it's always a bummer when you're like,
we have a great hockey team.
We're your rival, and they're like, we don't think about you at all.
Exactly.
But yeah, it is available on the internet. If people, it was the Fine Arts and Humanities College, I believe.
It was for the communications.
Okay. Yeah. Because they were all of the commencement addresses are on there, and I just have to I kept like, I can't believe there's no way it's nursing, and I just like kept scrolling through them to find it.
Can you imagine like me at a nurse? Like I hate like the sight of blood, and like I don't know. Can you imagine? They're like, "Hey, actually would love for you to speak with a whole bunch of nurses and doctors." Absolutely not.
Be like, when I was casting Lizzo's Big Girls, I thought this could be medically relevant. I know you've said your most excited person that you cast on VIP this season was Danielle Pinnick. Can you like, what was it about her that you were so excited about bringing her to drop out into VIP?
Yeah, I've said this previously in another interview, but Danielle was someone that I tried to cast on The Circle years and years ago after seeing her video of her making fun of The Circle. And I was always a fan literally since then. And I was like, she's so funny at characters. She has great comedic timing, but people see her as an actor first and not, as a comedian first. So of course, she started to blow up more and more as, my career started to progress. And when we were thinking of other people for VIP, Danielle Pinnick's name came up, and I was like, please, like, I am such a huge fan of her. Like, she would be perfect for this specific format. And she really knocked it out of the park. I think by far it was like one of my favorite episodes. She took it just to a completely different place than I think a lot of people did. I mean, although Echoes also kind of took it to a place that I never thought it would.
Oh man, I messaged Vic the moment the episode finished to be like, Vic, the ring slip on the table was so good. Just like killed me. I love. I mean, a lot of the episodes get combative. One of the things that I love about Echo and Chris Redd this season, both were very not combative interviews. I guess until the very end of both of them. But are you on set for those? Are you just like, are you finding out like us months later to find out what people chose?
Depends on the show. I did go to set for Game Changer for one day. I did go to set for VIP for one day. The thing about Dropout, they always invite me to set. So they're like, if your schedule lines up and you're not doing anything, like, come on set. We want to see you. We want you to meet the people that you get to cast, because a lot of the times I don't. Like, I will talk to their agents, managers, or just on, the phone with them, and they'll never see me, like, never see my face. Don't think I'm a real person unless I walk into the room. So I am very, very appreciative of them to say, like, come sit and like watch, your work, because I don't get to until usually the rest of the world.
Yeah, I assume that's not typical in the entertainment industry.
It's not typical. It's not.
There's a lot of things that Dropout does that aren't typical.
Yes.
How was it the last 2 years getting an email that was like, hey, you want a bunch of money at the end of the year? Here you go. We were more profitable than we expected.
Wild. Once again, also something that I have never experienced in my career. They're just, they treat their people like family. And, from the moment I got an email from Ebony, who's a supervising producer there, to say, hey, do you want to, come on for Monet's slumber party? I've been like treated like the best human ever. Like, everyone is just so sweet, so supportive. They understand, if you have a family, they understand if, you need to take some time off. They completely understand and want to prioritize who you are and your mental health. And a lot of places don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, like, one of the things, it's because, like, that idea of like work as a family, I know you've worked at like restaurants, has been like so weaponized, usually in the restaurant industry, to be like, come in when you're sick and dying because we're a family. And it's always so nice to hear like they treat you like a family, but the good way, not the bad way. That's not like the bad. Yeah. I mean, I obviously, a lot of like Dropout regulars, part of VIP season 2, but then like some huge names like Bobby Moynihan, Echo Kellum, John Early and Kate Berlant, like people outside of the Dropout sphere. Although like you can see where like where there is an overlap in audience, just like not people we've seen. I mean, when you're approaching folks like that, I know, like, I talked to Tamar, director of VIP, like that Chris Redd was a big fan of VIP already going into it. So that's probably a very easy sell. I assume that, like, even for VIP, but probably other shows, there are points where you have to be like, okay, here's what Dropout.tv is. And then get into like, and here's the show they're making. How do you bridge that gap with folks who maybe don't know what they're in for?
Yeah, I am a salesperson also at the end of the day. I should get like some sort of certification as well, because when you're doing especially a first season show or a show that someone's never heard of before, you have to sell it to the people doing it, and you have to sell it to the agents or managers that you're working for. And a lot of the time they're like, wait, I don't get it. Do you have any sort of visual of it? And I'm like, okay, here's a deck. And they're like, oh, okay, interesting. But for the most part, a lot of people, especially in the comedy world, are really open and receptive to trying new things on a different platform, because it is a completely different audience that they're normally not tapped into. Predominantly Gen Z watches Dropout, and a lot of these older, more legacy comedians don't have that access. So this invites them to be in front of new audiences, so they'll get something out of it, but it's also, they get to try something new. Like, yes, Chris Redd was also like familiar with the show and familiar with the format, but he also got to play a little and have fun with it, and same with like Danielle was not familiar with it. I was talking to a rep about it, and they had no idea what Dropout was, and I had to do a full explanation, and they were like, actually, like, I think she would be down for something like this. I was like, yeah, like, we're all here to just have a good time and have fun. At the end of the day, we're all just like theater kids just playing pretend.
Yeah. Your job probably has gotten easier now that like Variety and folks are like covering Dropout, like that not that they don't deserve it, but like that they're a real streamer, like like fighting in the space.
Yeah.
That probably has to make it easier to be like, no, there's a Variety article. Here you go.
Yeah, and a lot easier. And now reps are coming to me and like saying like, "Hey, my client wants to be a part of this show. Like, can you, and because of that, I have a huge list of just like all the people that have reached out to me and other folks at Dropout, and we like compiled it to like make sure we can go back to these people and see if it would make sense for any of our future formats.
Yeah, yeah. I will say, like, I am sure people will be upset if I didn't ask you, how can they get on Dropout?
I mean, if you're not a comic and you're just, regular degular like I am, you a lot of times will post something if we need any sort of like audience members, or I don't know if you saw anything this past year being
I
posted. Those are
I
the
have.
types of opportunities where anyone can be a part of Dropout. So those are the opportunities that like you just got to snag and like send a message, apply for it, because that's the best way to get into our universe. Or, maybe we'll have a sweepstakes again.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that one broke me so badly. I made a video about those 3 pieces of merch. I couldn't believe it. Like when I saw, and I was when they started it, and they're like, who could sell the most merch? I was like, Jacob's shirt, and like Lou's plush. But then I was like, and my brain couldn't comprehend what Vic's possibly could have been. And then when they showed the pins, I was like, I think I've said publicly what a brilliant idea by Sam that was. But yeah, I've seen you post on your Instagram. Will be like, hey, we're looking for people who are willing to like stand up and tell a story in front of 100 strangers that's like interesting or weird, and then have people make jokes about it. If that's you, and you can be in the LA area on these dates. Feels like a very important part of that.
That is very important, because it's
Yeah.
like, a lot of people that did, reach out and apply, they were like, we'll travel. Like, I'm happy to do it. I was like, just letting you know, like, there is no travel included. Like, you will be doing it on your dime. But everyone wants to do it. Like, we had some great people that came through for that show. And I'm like, I'm really excited to watch it.
Yeah, that's really, really fun. Yeah, I know. I know your advice. I've seen you talk about advice for like literally making like an audition tape. I'm sure folks also watching this would love that advice. I know your advice is basically like, "Hey, stop doing too much. We
Yeah.
want to see your performance. Stand in front of a wall and do
Yes.
your performance."
Yes.
Other than that, do you have like thoughts on auditions, dropout or otherwise?
Yeah, I think in the reality space, it's really important for you to really tap into your authenticity, because at the end of the day, we're telling a story about you, and that's what's going to be on TV. We can't really create anything that's not there. So if you want to tell us a story about how you maybe won a huge chess competition, and from that you were able to go to college because they saw this video online go viral, like that's a really interesting tidbit about your life. But a lot of people don't lead with amazing things. They lead with what they think we want to hear because they've saw it on reality television already. But we don't want a copy paste of, previous villains or previous like people that are no like huge on reality TV. We want to see you. So lead with authenticity first. 100%. That's number one.
Yeah. Oh man, you're just full of such good advice. I mean, how could you not be? Look, you get invited to do a commencement address. You have to have some good advice for people.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will say like one of the other like really cool things like I got to learn about you doing like the deep dive is you like changed the industry pretty considerably, at least in reality television.
Yes.
You had like an open letter about casting for The Bachelor.
Mhm.
Can you tell me, like, I know you've talked about how like terrifying that was to post that. Can
Yeah.
you talk to me about like this is another like your trust your gut lesson of like, hey, you got to do what's right for you kind of moment.
Yeah. So if people aren't familiar with the Bachelor world, I remember in 2020, oh my gosh, I remember in
That is,
2020,
it did feel like
it felt like
2020.
2020 at this
Yeah.
point. In 2020, during, the Black Lives Matter resurgence and, George Floyd, we were all at home kind of really just taking time for ourselves and understanding what's going on in the world and reflecting. And I remember when Matt James was announced as the new Bachelor, and this would be the first Black Bachelor that they've ever had. And I immediately like got like a gut punch because I worked on Rachel Lindsay's season, who was the first Black Bachelorette. And I remember how horrible that they treated her behind the scenes and how they didn't take care. And I wanted to find a way to have a voice in this moment and say, okay, like, let's come forward. Let's kind of explain why it's wrong and how they're handling casting and how can we fix that. So I wrote an open letter. I posted on my Instagram. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. I thought only my friends and family were going to see it. And then lo and behold, press started picking it up. I was getting interviews left and right. And it really brought and shined a light on the casting process and the production process at The Bachelor and Bachelorette. We were dealing with microaggressions left and right. We were dealing with direct racism left and right, especially myself being in that room where I was the only Black person. And how am I supposed to feel comfortable in a space when I know everyone around me was not even there to support me? How can I also bring that over to other contestants that are also Black women into a space and know that they're going to be taken care of? They're not going to be taken care of because they'll close a door and have nasty conversations about you right after you leave the room and say, oh, her hair is not right because it's not straightened. Oh, she doesn't look like this. I've heard nasty things in that casting room. And I wanted to make sure that if they're going to continue to use Black people on their platform, that they're going to do it with the utmost care and responsibility. And that's why I wrote that letter. And I am very proud of, like what happened because of it. Unfortunately, the entire casting team got fired. But, at the end of the day, it's like, you need to make sure that if you're going to have space for people of color, you need to make sure that space is actually safe. And I do feel like, casting has shifted a lot on the unscripted side, and, they're making sure there is diversity within, within the actual process, but I am not seeing the team still be diverse, unfortunately. So, when I do hire my teams, I make sure that my teams are diverse as possible, especially if I am casting a show where I can't give you the correct information because I am not a part of that specific race or gender or identity. So I always try to do my best when it comes to that, and I wish other casting professionals did.
Yeah. I mean, look, it always sucks if people lose their jobs, but the fact that the entire casting department was replaced is a pretty incredible thing to have happened from a thing that you're like, no one's gonna read this to come out of it. It's such an important conversation that I worked in film a billion years ago, so I was never part of those conversations, but I know
was your experience in the film? What were you doing?
I was a production assistant.
Love it.
Trying to break my way in, and then had that very quickly beaten out of me by producers who screamed at me.
Oh no!
I once it was an actor from New York whose name I'm blanking on. Came to LA. I obviously worked in LA, and he thought he could just catch a cab like he could in New York. And so he canceled his car service and then was super late to the meeting the next day because there are no cabs in LA. You can't walk out and find a cab.
No.
And I got screamed at by the producer because he wasn't allowed to yell at the actor for doing it. So it was my fault. So I was like, I think I'll move to Austin and never do this again.
I'm but that's a lot of people's first, I had a pretty terrible experience as a PA on set too. So it's hearing these stories of this is your first job in the industry and it sounds so toxic is really horrible, and I feel so bad because I'm like, there's more to this industry than
Oh
those
yeah,
toxic people, but everyone like hyper focuses on that, and they're like, the rest of the industry is nasty, that's why. But I'm like, no, there's good parts of it, I promise.
yeah. Look, hey, it worked out fine. Now I get to do this weird little show that I do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll be in LA in a
Oh,
month and a half. I'm coming to Battle at the Bowl.
oh,
Gonna go see Rumble in the Jungle for Dimension 20. I'm
amazing.
very excited for it.
That okay,
Yeah,
well, maybe I'll see you there.
yeah. Yeah, well, speaking of Dimension 20, I'm assuming, well, you're the casting director for Titan Takedown.
Correct.
I'm obviously there is no casting director for Intrepid Heroes seasons. It's the same 7 people every time.
Exactly.
But when you're pulling in the other seasons, is it just Titan Takedown, or are they coming to you for like the, you know, like Mentopolis kind of seasons where it's a bunch of different folks, or is it like, hey, we need wrestlers, can you help us find wrestlers?
That's literally it. It was for Titan Takedown. We had Xavier Woods previously on Dropout. So this was the first time that we were like, oh, we need more to WWE. We would love to do, you know, a show surrounding more wrestlers. And I think there's a really fun overlap between WWE people and Dropout. So when we had that opportunity, let me tell you, WWE is a fortress. Trying to permeate and get in there, because I've never worked with them before, was a process in its own. It took me like a couple weeks to get there. But when I finally got in and had conversations with them, it was still a very long process. It was like 3 months that we were negotiating and like working with them and talking to them and seeing that this would be a good fit and who would be a good fit. What cast do we want? Do they all know each other? Because at the end of the day, the thing that makes Dimension 20 so great is being able to play off one another and like have that storytelling permeate through all the players and not just one individual, which is Brennan like leading it all. And also it's great when they also have a background and have played D&D before. So it was a lot of just identifying who would work, why they would work, would they be good on this platform, would they want to do this, does their schedule line up? So it was a lot and it went a lot into it, but I'm like so proud to like when I got to see it all come together. And it was really nice that Brennan also mentioned me in Variety.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Brennan, oh my God. And like, cause
Yeah.
like after doing that for so long and like you finally like they signed the contracts and you're just like this and you're like, oh, we did it. We did it. It was nice to like also get mentioned because of how much work that went into it behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's one of the things that obviously like Dimension 20 on the show itself, like it makes my like this job so much easier, is because like in the talkback episodes, Brendan will literally bring out a list and be like, here's everyone who worked on this season. I'm like, great. And I just like grab my phone and I just like grab my notes and then I go to Instagram. I'm like already following every single person you've already listed, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Like it makes it way easier. But like, yeah, it does feel like Dropout explicitly goes out of their way to make sure that you know that this is not the Brendan Lee Mulligan show. This is a team of people that are like building things behind the scenes that you don't get to see their faces, but the show doesn't exist without.
Yeah.
And going so far as to like literally talk about you in Variety of like, hey, this is how this season exists. Like we wouldn't have this season without Jazz. Like,
yeah, well, thank you. Well, thank you, Brandon. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, it's always a team effort. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes for every single Dropout show that you watch. And I don't think people realize, I think people still think Dropout is kind of like being held together with cardboard and pieces of paper and tape.
I think that's what they want you to think still too.
But it's becoming more of a well-oiled machine every single day. And I think they need to give themselves a lot more credit because they're doing a phenomenal job and trying to constantly elevate and do more and try new things. And whether or not it fails or if it continues, it's like no other networks are taking those chances. A lot of networks right now are scared. Like they're not greenlighting anything. That's why you're only seeing like legacy competition shows like Survivor and Big Brother on TV. You're not really seeing anything new because everyone's afraid to spend money and try something new, whether or not it like fails or not, because whoever greenlights it and if it fails, they usually get fired. Mm-hmm. But Dropout's like, we're going to see if it hits. If it doesn't hit, we'll move on. We'll try something new. And I think that's so beautiful to see in this current film industry right now, because everyone is scared, and like
Yeah.
they're not even shooting in LA anymore because it's too expensive, and it's cheaper to go. I don't know if you saw, there was like a whole interview. I think Rob Lowe was talking about how the floor is filmed in Ireland because it's cheaper, and it's like
it's cheaper to fly Americans to Ireland than to shoot in LA.
that's insane. Like that is insane. So like I love that it's still in LA. We're still shooting here. You know, everyone that's a crew is a family, and they're trying new things, and they're truly throwing a ton of spaghetti at the wall, seeing if it sticks, and then keep on going. And I think that's something that more networks need to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, so much of that, it feels like it's because streaming just isn't profitable for everybody other than Dropout, basically. Like, it's, and obviously it's because most streaming services are doing scripted television, and that's way more expensive than game shows, or, you know, whatever you want to, like, lump these kinds of shows into.
Yeah, and they're also acquiring a lot, because a lot of these platforms, when they first started, they had to acquire a whole bunch of TV shows and films just so they had content on there. And the beauty of Dropout, they already had so much stuff that they were able to just like bring over, and like, boom, we already have like all of this already in a library, and then we can just add on to it. So, you know, there's a lot of business involved.
Yes, yeah,
doing their best.
Yeah. I mean, what is that? What's it like for you? I suppose of like, hey, here's a new show we want to cast, and you're like, great, and then like the season doesn't hit, and you're immediately like, I want to do that again. Does it sting when you don't get the call back, when the shows don't come back?
Yes, it's pretty brutal. You know, especially when you spend so much time, because a lot of the casting process, especially for unscripted, are like sometimes 3 to 6 months long. So you're really spending so much time with these people and trying to figure out what makes it work. You go through the whole casting process, you send these people sometimes overseas to shoot, and then they go, actually, we're going to cancel it. Sorry, it doesn't work out for you. So it like stings, because, you know, obviously the whole crew gets fired, including the casting team. So you're kind of just sitting there and waiting and hoping that another show comes and you can get, because that's the freelance life. You know, you don't know whether or not your paycheck is going to hit tomorrow or 3 months from now.
Yeah. I'll say, like, I know during the LA wildfires, Siobhan Thompson posted something that like she works like 20 days a year with Dropout, and they were the only company that reached out that was like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And that every other company that had reached out to her was like, hey, when are your pages going to be in? It's... I know we said that not all parts of the entertainment community are bad just a minute ago, but there are a lot of bad parts. And, you know, like, it's always so refreshing to hear any good story, especially when you build your entire personality around one specific streaming service. You're like, please don't be bad. I don't know what I'll pivot to.
Come on, Dr. Dropout.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know we were saying that not all are bad, but, you know, I think a lot of it is just like they weren't even thinking. Everyone went into like fight or flight moment during the LA fires. I know those 2 weeks were like the scariest weeks of everyone's lives, and they were just trying to get like their footing of like, are we okay? Am I gonna have to evacuate? I had to house some people at one point when this was all happening. I live kind of near hills, so I was also just like, do I need to like pack and like make sure everything's good? I also have a young daughter. She's, 2 years old. So it was also like, am I going to have to pick up and just leave everything behind? But I did make a list. And the thing that I did make on the list is make sure to bring my Emmy, because I was not going to have it burnt down.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I have to imagine if you called up the Television Academy of Arts and Sciences, and they're like, hey, I need a replacement, they'd be like, no.
I think they would. I actually don't know. But mine is like, because it was the 75th year, they have like a special emblem on it. And I'm just like, I don't know if they would remake that.
Yeah, they may not be able to. It may have been they destroyed the mint after they got through
exactly.
with it. Yeah.
It's limited edition, baby. I don't know what else is gonna happen.
Oh man. Yeah, what age do you think you'll introduce your daughter to Dropout content? I have a 3-year-old son. I'm trying to figure out when he can start like consuming Game
I
Changers.
feel like 7 years old is like a
Yeah.
solid number because I want them to like get the jokes. Like
Yes.
my daughter is like very funny already, and I was like, oh,
Hmm.
thank goodness, like this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
But I don't think she would understand a lot of the humor yet. She's still very much on like Bluey, and like
Hmm.
she loves this show on called Ariel, and it's like the animated version of The Little Mermaid.
Hmm.
And it's on Disney Junior, and she's such like a huge fan of it because it has like great music and great stories. But like I feel like 7 is a solid number.
Yeah. All right. That's good.
You
That's
got
good.
4
That's
years.
helpful. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, my son's also so funny, and it makes me so happy. He the other day, this is one of my favorite things he's ever done. We were at dinner, and he mentioned something that happened when we moved into this house, which we moved in almost 2 years ago. And I was like, I can't believe you remember that. And he goes, you know how I remember it? And he leaned into me and put his mouth against my ear, and in the breathiest whisper I've ever experienced, went, I keep everything in my mind. And it was the funniest thing I've ever heard.
An icon, truly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's like so exciting to know. Like, oh my god, their humor is gonna be so good. Like by the time
Yes.
they hit like 5, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna put you on stage, and you're gonna start doing stand up.
Yeah,
like
he's doing like callback bits and stuff. Like it's incredible. Like he had a bit where he told me a story that he made up the end to, where I would go, "That's not what happened," and he thought that was very funny. And we were like days after he had originally done it, we were driving in the car somewhere, and he was telling me to skip songs that he didn't like.
Oh my god!
And he was like, "Dad, you know what I'm going to say?" And I like put my thumb on the button to skip the song, and he started in on his like story bit, and I was like, oh, this is just this full-on callback joke.
This is
like,
yes.
Like
God, what an icon! Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, I posted a video. I think about both of those things, and someone was like, "Your son is going to be on Dropout before you," and I was like, that's really hurtful.
Oh no! Maybe I could find a way to cast you in something.
Yeah, there you go. Look, I'm really bummed you don't cast Actually or Smarty Pants, the only shows I could possibly go on.
Oh man, I know. I wish. I mean, I did cast Tamra for this season on Actually. That one. That one was
that's right.
me.
Yes.
But other than that, I do not touch those shows. It's very much like an internal decision because a lot of the people are just like already in the universe, but I'm the person that brings all the outside people in and bring us into our new family.
Yeah, you made such a fantastic moment. It's very funny. I talked to Christina earlier that day, and she was like, there's going to be something that's going to happen that you'll never guess. And it was because I don't know enough Housewives to be able to guess. Like,
yes,
I wouldn't. I could have maybe guessed a housewife, but I would have never been able to guess that housewife. How do you reach out to a housewife to be like, hey, we need you for like a minute long bit where you ask a question? Like, I assume because in the same way that when they did they were playing the snippets of music, the contestants were like, you could play the whole song, they would be so excited. Is it similar to that, of just like you reach out and they're like, yes, I want to be on TV?
Yes. I mean, the beauty of working in reality, it's pretty easy to like bridge the gap of like getting those people. But Carly, her management company that she works for, also reps Tamra. So I just shot her a message and I said, hey Carly, hey, do you think Tamra would be down for something like this? And she's like, yeah, I think. Like, she's like, she doesn't know the network, but I mean, it seems pretty simple. And I was like, listen, it will be fun. It's going to take like 20 minutes of her time. She doesn't even have to leave her house. Like, would she be down for this? And she's like, you know what? Probably. So she brought it to her and she was down. A lot of housewives, surprisingly, are down to do stuff where they don't have to do too much and they get paid for it.
Yeah. Like most of them are on Cameo at this point. They're down to get paid for doing very little work.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing, basically. Yeah. It's just you sitting in front of your computer instead of your phone.
Yeah. Do you know if she has seen the episode or the segment?
I have no idea. I did tag her in it. but I have
Yeah.
no idea. I'll have to ask Carly. That's a good question. I'll
Yeah,
text Carly after this and see.
I'm really curious how she feels about the guessing of her taglines. Man, there. I just I, it, I don't. You haven't cast any Housewives stuff, right? But
Mm-mm.
like,
No.
d- how do you have any idea how they even can possibly do that? Like, how do you
Finding
find?
those people, I mean,
Yeah,
whoever found Nene deserves all the awards,
yeah.
because she is by far still the most iconic housewife, even though she's not even on TV anymore. But a lot of those people, I am familiar with some of the casting directors that do it, and I'm friends with some of them, and it's a long process, and a lot of it starts from like who's already on the show, and then like who's in their network, and then kind of dividing and conquer from there. But it's also like they still have some certain things that they want to make sure, like ideally they have a job outside of being a housewife, they have some sort of storyline that we can follow, and they're not just like, you know, kind of boring, like they have
Hmm.
something going on for them. And it's tough. It's a tough show to cast. I mean, I give them a lot of props. I did mention that I don't know if you don't really watch Housewives, but Real Housewives of Salt Lake City,
Hmm.
by far the best season of reality television I have ever seen. It is
Yeah,
so good.
Christina has really been hammering me to watch Salt Lake, because
So good. I have like
yeah,
never seen anything like
yeah.
it.
It is the thing that the thing that I'm most drawn to about that one is it's so isolated that like, and so little of it that I could catch up, because like I'm fully obsessed with the Pippa Larson Marcus Jordan storyline. It's the craziest thing in the world to me. But like I started Miami and I was like, this is 12 years old.
Yeah,
Like I was like, I can't watch this for this long.
they
Like I
took a
don't have the time.
break. Yeah, they took a
Yeah,
break and then they came back. I never even watched the like old seasons of Miami. I started when it was like refreshed because I was
yeah.
like, I can't deal with this.
It was very fun in the first episode to hear Larsa talk about how much she loves Scottie Pippen, because that was like, I know things that are going to happen in the future.
I know, it's so wild.
You love Salt Lake City. Are
Yes.
there other reality shows? Can you appreciate the shows that you cast for? Like, can you watch them, or are you just like in your head the whole time?
I do watch all my shows that I've cast. I also because I just like to see like how it all comes out because you only just see the people and then you're like,
Mhm.
huh, I wonder what's gonna happen like to them on set. Are they gonna actually do really well? Like I still watch The Traitors even though I only did season one. I watched The Circle up until the season I wrapped on. And obviously I watch all the Dropout shows that I either cast or don't cast. So I like it. I enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Anything that the folks out there need to be watching that you cast or not?
Oh. um, I okay. I watch a lot of scripted, which
Mhm.
surprisingly enough, even though I'm like unscripted girly through and through. Um, I'm watching The Studio right
It's
now.
so good. It's
So
so.
good. It gives me
Oh
so much
man.
anxiety because I'm like I live that world, so it's like very good. Obviously I watch Severance, by far also great television. Right now I'm also watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. Um, I what else am I watching? I think that's it right now, but I want to start Paradise soon. Like that's my next thing I'm going to watch. And I'm also interested in hearing about Government Cheese is what I'm hearing. Is
Oh,
like could be
I don't know that
interesting.
one. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I fell so hardly in love with the studio. From obviously, I love Severance as well. Everybody loves Severance,
Everyone
but the
loves Severance.
studio like is just such a specific thing. And my wife watches it with me and really loves it. She did not work in film in any way, so it does. If you haven't started, it does transcend just
Oh,
like
that's good
pure
to
film
know.
experiences.
That's good to know because I didn't know that because I all the people I talk to work in the
Right.
industry and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's so good." And I'm like, "I haven't talked to anyone that hasn't. Like, does it translate? Like, do people still enjoy it?" Like, I'm glad to hear it does.
Yeah, I she doesn't love it as much as I do, but she does really enjoy it. Yeah, I I was we watched The Oneer,
Yeah.
which is just, I mean, one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen,
Very
and
stressful.
very stressful, but just like so brilliantly made. And like, so I was explaining to my wife, I was like, all right. this is what is happening. And then I have to be like, and the secret is when you're like panning over, or if like you can get a close up of something that isn't a person, you can cut.
Yes.
Like that's your moment. And she was like, I didn't even notice that it was all one shot. And I was like, but that's the important part of the episode.
And I think that's what was so beautiful, because I'm like, that was so choreographed. Like they had to probably do so many rehearsals to get it all going, because it was literally all one shot. And I think the episode was like 20 minutes long, 25 minutes long or something. So like that's a long amount of time that no one can mess up. And like, oh my God, it's just incredible. And it's really a piece. It's a piece.
Yeah, I will say the thing that I love about Dropout that I wish more shows had, give me behind the scenes. Like I want to know how you're making your stuff. Like the studio has I haven't seen this week's episode, but the last week's episode, there's another bunch of like big set numbers. It's a noir episode. I also love that every episode is just like its own like stylistic
like
thing.
A vignette almost.
Yes. Yeah, but like, like people are getting like thrown down hills. I'm like, all right, I see where the cut is, but I still want you to show me like a behind the scenes, like bring back DVD extras.
That's what I was literally about to say. Bring back the DVDs, because that's what I loved about it. I loved being able to see the behind the scenes, because even if you work in the industry, you like can go and be like, oh my God, like, so that's how they do it. Because I'm like in casting, I do some production work, but I really don't know how all of the secret sauce is made. So I love being able to have that access. And I know people that aren't in the industry would love to see that. So like, I love that we do BTS at Drop.
I built this whole channel around the concept of behind the scenes.
Everyone wants to know. How do you do
wants
it?
To know. Yeah,
it's so cool.
I love. It's also very funny for me because like I've been a Dropout fan for not the entire time, but since like 2020, I discovered it pandemic, like I think a lot of folks did.
Right.
And it's always fun when like the new season of Game Changer hits, and it's that second week into the season, and it's the behind the scenes episode, and people are like, "Wait, what? Where's my new Game Changer?" I'm like, I have terrible news for you.
Yeah, you gotta wait.
You haven't been here, so you don't know. It is bi-weekly.
Yes, yes. Oh man, I can't wait for this whole season to come out. I just like. It's going to be great. It's going to be so great.
Yeah, I'm really excited for all of it. If the folks out there want to see the things that you have done, where can they find you? Because I know you will periodically post, like, I'm so proud of, like, Casting Tambra or whoever, like, you know, like, on your... it's on Instagram.
Yes.
I was trying to like not say where I was trying to lead you to, but it's on Instagram.
It's on Instagram.
Where can folks find you on Instagram?
They can find me at Jazzy Casting, so JAZZYCASTING. That's where I am. I post all of my work, or if I'm like on a panel or whatever it is, I post about that too. I did a fun Television Academy panel with Wayne Brady, and I got to sit next to him, and then we became friends afterwards.
Oh, I love that.
I think I'm friends with him. I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know it. He doesn't know it yet.
He's a friend in my head.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. I know. After his Make Some Noise episode 2 years ago or whatever it was, he told Sam, like, there are two people that have done improv right on TV, like you guys and Whose Line, and I was like, how do you not just walk into the ocean after a compliment like that? Like, just be like, I can't do anything ever again. I did it.
Wayne is just a wonderful human, like so nice, so thoughtful, and just like, even though I had like brief conversations with him before and after the panel, he was just like, wants to talk to you. You feel like you've known him forever. And being in spaces where there's a lot of celebrities previously, it's so nice to have someone warm, like walk in and have a conversation with. So big fan of him.
I just listened to the Lonely Island Seth Meyers podcast episode this week where they like talk about Val Kilmer because he was in the MacGruber movie, and apparently he was very much like that. Like he locked in on you in conversations and just like wanted to know everything about you, and his like group of friends was like, it's like a 90-year-old person who survived Hiroshima because they were in a bank vault. Like, he had
So
the most
wild.
eclectic group of friends imaginable, and just like, what a joy to
Those
be
are the
able to,
coolest
like,
people.
yeah. And
So,
you get to cast them in things. Look
I
at that.
do.
Look
It's
at me
a
making
full
it into a circle. Yes,
Full
a full
circle.
the circle. There we go. Jesse, thank you so much. This was
Thank you.
so fantastic.
Yes.
So excited to see more from you. And also, people should be following you on Instagram because sometimes you post Dropout casting announcements. And
I do.
that's how they can get onto Dropout. I just screenshot it and post it out everywhere else. So that's where I'm getting my information.
Are you posting it on Reddit? Like, who's the Reddit people? Because
I mean, I am on Reddit, but I don't post that kind of stuff.
I stalk the Reddit because I'm very interested in seeing what's going on and what people think and what people's ideas are.
I try to stay off Reddit so much because it is so toxically awful. But I do post all of my interviews there because I do want their views. I just don't want to engage with them.
Oh, I mean, I don't engage, but I'm a lurker.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, this was absolutely delightful. I don't know how to end an interview, so I'm just going to hit stop recording.